I'm Susan Rushton, as you know, and this is Lifelong English Major. And so before I introduce my guest, I want to show you, talk to you about this wonderful guy, John McPhee. I do this all the time with Lifelong English Major because I like to talk about books. This is John McPhee, and he does great stuff. He did great stuff. He's a great writer, and he does all sorts of fascinating stuff. And I have something to read to you. This is from something called his Silk Parachute. And when he was 19 or 15, 16, something or other, he was deeply involved with canoes and big water. And there was one time after he was working hard with them, he was upset. His foot was stuck. I struggled to pull the foot tree, but it wouldn't come. Upside down in billows of water, I could not get out. Understand, I have a long tendency to panic. Almost anything will panic me. Health, money, working with words. Almost anything, I'm here to tell you, but an overturned canoe in a raging gorge. So he figured it out. And I read that and saw that he put working with words at the end of that sentence. He was anything will panic me. This, and this. And the thing he put at the end was the biggest thing, working with words. And of course he's being funny, and also he's being serious. And that's where he put it, at the end. And that's where you need to put it if you want to have something big be clear. And he knows that. And I know that. And I was thrilled to read this book. And that spot. And I hope you can figure out, if you don't know John McPhee, get him. He's wonderful. Okay, another person who's wonderful is my guest. This is Gus Tomson, and I'm thrilled that you're here. How do we know each other, Gus?
Well, we met, 37 years ago?
37.
Almost to the day, yes.
Okay.
I was this very, very young reporter. And you're this very, very young reporter too, I guess we could say.
Well, not terribly young.
And do you remember some of the people who were there at the Auburn Journal when we met? There's Janet Dayton,
yes.
Katie Bourne-Stevenson, Emily Darby,
yes.
Tom Homer, John Trumbo.
John, yes.
Yes. And Emily Darby, did I mention her?
Yeah.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Jim Loftus was a photographer.
Yeah, good for you.
Jeff Weidel in sports.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. So we worked together at the Auburn Journal. And
it was a time when Auburn was a lot different than it is today. And the Auburn Journal was a lot different than it is today. We had a staff of 15. Everything was like humming along because they were doing construction at the time.
Oh, yes.
The banging was incessant. I think those contractors just loved to make a lot of noise to bother us. But we ended up with a beautiful restored building, which was originally a PG&E sort of place where they repaired the vehicles and kept the vehicles stored from the 1920s on. And it's still there. And now it has, where the front place was, where people could come in, the lobby, it's now a museum, believe it or not.
Yeah. That's a good thing to look for. So I was there first, before you.
Yes.
Where did you come from?
I came from a newspaper in Canada on Vancouver Island called the Nanaimo Daily Free Press, which no longer exists.
Okay. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's too bad. That's terrible. But what brought you here?
A job at the Auburn Journal.
Auburn Journal. Okay. Okay.
And it was a wonderful place to come. I can remember the job interview that I had with John Trumbo, who was the managing editor, the editor at the time. Tom Homer was the managing editor. And we went to Sweet Peas, and then, of course, I had time to kind of roam around the area.
Mm-hmm.
So I drove down to Sacramento, and I drove around sort of the Midtown area, and I came upon this house. And around it was the yellow police tape, you know, and people were outside the tape, and they were looking on with expressions of horror.
Mm.
And,
how interesting.
And so I was wondering what's going on there. And so the headlines the next day had to do with a landlady who had been killing off her tenants,
oh, dear.
elderly tenants. Her name was Dorothea Puente, and she was probably Sacramento's most famous serial killer.
Oh, geez.
So at the time I was thinking, now this is really fertile ground for a reporter.
you belong here.
They found the bodies in the backyard, by the way.
Oh, brother. Oh, geez. Wow.
So I accepted the job, and then I met wonderful people like yourself.
Yeah, like me. Yes, and I met you, and I learned a lot from you. And I left. You stayed. How long ago did you leave?
I left just as COVID was taking place.
Yeah.
I'd been planning to retire, and the day came, and I stepped over the threshold. Just like I've mentioned to many people that when I'd worked in the national parks, we were coming back from an isolation camp where they helicoptered us in, and then I had to hike out. And we had to go over this chasm with a log across. And it's like, that's the kind of feeling I had. You're stepping away into a different experience. Yes. And it was kind of, anybody who retires knows that it's a brave step into the unknown.
Yeah.
You have to take that step, that first step in the long journey. And the new journey has continued, and I've been thriving ever since.
And yes, you have been thriving ever since. And one of the ways you've been reciting is that you've written some more. What have you written?
Well, the writing started when I got a phone call from Terry Cooney of the Auburn Rotary Club of Auburn, if you will. As you remember from your journalistic days, they were very fussy about that.
Yeah.
And they were about to celebrate their 100th anniversary of being founded in 1924. And this is a couple of years before. And they had gotten a committee together to write their history. And Terry was wondering if I could help out. And I said, sure, I'll write a chapter. And so things evolved, and I ended up co-writing the book with Bart O'Brien. He was a former president of the Rotary Club of Auburn, as well as the.
Do you have that here?
As the.
Well, not that. That's.
This is the first one.
Yeah. Lunch
Legends.
Stories of the Rotary Club of Auburn's first century. Okay.
Yes.
Gus Tomson and Bart O'Brien.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bart O'Brien, superintendent of the Placer Union High School District.
Okay.
And he was great because he wrote the final chapter, which was the last 25 years of the Rotary Club in Auburn. And for him, he's one of the presidents, so he was able to link up with a lot of the people who made Rotary Club hum over the past 25 years of the first century, and had that living history component, which I couldn't really do as well as he could. So he really helped make that book a real success as far as I'm concerned. I ended up doing the first 75 years, which was really interesting for me because I, as you know, I really dig into history. I dig history, and so
clearly,
in the end, it became a situation where other people were unable to do chapters, and so I did the first 75 years, and basically turned it into like a stealth history of Auburn over the last century. So there's a lot of really good information in there. And at the end, Terry came to me, as well as other committee members. Mike Holmes was on the committee. Nancy Nittler was on the committee. It really was a really successful venture. At the end, they awarded me a Paul Harris Fellowship, which is kind of a rare thing. Joanne Neff was another person who received one. They were, I guess they were just sort of thankful that history got written.
Good.
And
good.
Then,
how long did it take you?
For me, it was a pretty simple task. You know, you talk about the fear of writing with McPhee. and I was listening to that, and I was thinking, well, yeah, I have been in a raft on the South Fork of the American River, and yes, I have been pitched into the river in the rapids, and the guide, and I wasn't afraid at all, and the guy just pulled me out.
Oh, good.
Pulled me out back on.
Wonderful.
But it's the fear of writing, that writer's block, you know, you hear about that. Obviously, he's someone who has that. Or
is it right?
Has had that.
How? Yeah.
Never had that. Writing for the journal, it was just like I could turn out that copy quickly, efficiently, capably, and on deadline. And so, writing the book was
quick.
Just establish the deadline. Yeah. Get it done, move on. Get it done, move on. And at the end, Terry said, you know, we haven't figured out how to publish this yet. So I found a way to publish it. And this was something that I did because when I was a kid in high school, the Rotary Club, where I live, sent me on a trip across Canada to the capital, where I had a lot of really great experiences, life-affirming, changing experiences with politics and learning about journalism and all this kind of thing. And so I wanted to repay that. So I took no compensation, no money for the work that I did. And I didn't consider it work either. It was a labor of love. And in the end, any proceeds from this book, other than the cost that I had to pay to the publisher, goes to the Rotary Club. That continues. So they made some money for all their good works as well with the book.
Wow, good. That's lovely.
But back to the fear. No fear.
Good.
I found, you know, you think, well, you've got to, maybe it's different with fiction writers.
I can imagine.
But for me, it's like dig into the research. It's like every day you're discovering new things, visiting, meeting people, like you were in the same tribe as you, if you were in historical research, going to archives and learning all the time, and then being able to share that with the people who are buying the books, learning from the books. And I think it's a wonderful experience that I wanted to replicate, and so I did it again.
Yes, you did. Okay, so let's talk about the book you did again. This is Dolphy, and who is Dolphy?
Dolphy is Adolph Weber, and he's the scion of a wealthy Auburn family. It's a true story. Dolphy is his nickname, and he murdered his mother, father, sister, brother, burned the house down.
Good Lord!
And then, because he could back then, he inherited the family wealth, the equivalent of $3 million in today's money, and he used that money to defend himself in court.
Good Lord. Good heavens. Okay.
They're digging deeper into the story.
Well,
Dolphy is just the launching pad. But sure.
What caught you? How did you find about him? How did you find him? What caught you?
Well, I've just known about him and known that there's a story there that needed to be told because it hadn't been told in the depth that I could do that today because of modern technology, the ability to dig into things a little bit more, and then my knowledge of how to dig into court records, other things that other people would have no idea where to go. So I could go into probate records, lawsuits, things like that. 32
stuff you
years.
had done all the time when you were working at
Exactly. Yes, I knew where to go. As I say, people say, "Well, how long have you been in Auburn?" 37 years, and for a lot of people, oh, that's you're a newcomer, and I say, wait a minute, I was a reporter, and that gives me it's like dog years. It gives me a multiple of that. And I'm continuing to find more skeletons in closets and where the bodies are buried. Yeah, I tell you.
So you have more books you have more books in your brain.
No, I've already started. I started January 1st, and I'm just continuing to find things that are going to knock readers' socks off. I've got things in Dolphy that are incredible. The red light district on Brewery Lane, for instance. I found maps of where these locations are. I've got stories of a murder on Brewery Lane of a brothel owner that no one knows about.
Now, what is a brothel?
That's a whorehouse.
Okay, thank you.
A place where prostitutes ply their trade, if you will.
Hello.
Because there wasn't a lot written on brothels in Auburn, on Brewery Lane. And other than New Orleans, where it was legal at that time, there were no maps or visitor pamphlets or anything like that directing you to the brothels on Brewery Lane. Yeah. But I found maps from different sources showing those places and names of these places and stories about them. And that's one chapter. I've got another chapter on Auburn Brewery, how the owner of the Auburn Brewery at the time consorted with Adolph Weber to lie in documents and for the court to try to get him off in return for the land that Weber had that he wanted, the Weber house that had burned down, the property there he received from Weber. And how the community basically shunned him after that, and he closed the brewery soon after Weber was hanged and died shortly after that.
Well, of course,
there are a lot of family names and family people in this, so I haven't had the blowback I've expected so far. But maybe this next book will result in some.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to go places because as a reporter, you always have to take that. Yeah, that's my job, and you get criticized this way, you get criticized that way. You just have to give people the information and let them judge for themselves. So people say, was Weber mentally ill? Why did he do it? I'll say, I've got lots of people talking about it.
Sure.
These are sources from that time, contemporary sources, rather than people 100 years later. It occurred in 1904. He was executed in 1906 at Folsom Prison. But I'm really happy with the result. There are a lot of things that people had no idea about that I've been able to get into that. And now you're asking about where do I go from there? Well, I'm finding out things that again will just tantalize people now, and I don't want to tell too much about the next book but it's about Rattlesnake Dick Barter.
Okay.
He was,
and we've heard about him.
He was an outlaw who was involved in a gunfight in Auburn, and he died in where a shopping center parking lot is at the Forest Hill exit.
Okay.
Soon after the gunfight, but there's more to the story.
Lots more.
Because it became more.
After all, how old was he when he died?
17 when he came to Placer County in 1850. He died in 1859.
So
we're going to go with 26.
Okay, so there's a bunch of time when he that you get to talk about him.
Yes, but then afterwards, everything just kind of turned into
don't tell us.
fading memories and I've already started to talk about it. Look into dime novels. The horrid dime novels of the time, which told tales of, and Rattlesnake Dick became sort of that bête noire, if you will, of the dime novels, because everybody used that name to say what horrid stories they were, because dime novels didn't really survive because they were like in the woodshed, because they didn't want the fathers to see them and get wailed on. They weren't considered very good literature. But there was one Rattlesnake Dick novel that came out, a dime novel in 1864. So that's the story has been transmogrified into this kind of legendary pack of balderdash, basically. So it's going to be.
You are having a wonderful time.
It's going to be the misadventures of Rattlesnake Dick, because you have a real person who basically makes a lot of mistakes and ends up dead.
Yeah.
And was he glorified? To a certain extent, he was. Wendell Roby in 1948 approximately made a speech about him using a lot of misinformation. But basically he said that if Rattlesnake Dick was living today, he would be like a major movie star. So go ahead, take it from there. As someone who's done a lot of reporting, a lot of court reporting, I've covered 2 death penalty cases. So Dolphy was something that I was very familiar with the impact on the community, very familiar with the impact on the victims' families. And of course, obviously, it's terrible what happened to the victims. I don't really have a lot of sympathy for murderers. I don't have
really.
Some people can have some empathy for mental illness and things like that. So you have to deal with that. But in the end, you have to look at all the different sides for it and realize a lot of times people who get involved in crime are evil.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
But there's a lot of factors that you get in court, of course, where the 2 death penalty cases I had, the defense attorneys bring out a lot of the background of the people who were the perpetrators of multiple murders that were horrible, were horrifying. But in the end, they were convicted by a jury. Jurors were actually crying in the first one, the Rendell case in 1989, and the second one, Suarez, in 1999. Both were given the death penalty, and both are still living today in prison.
Ouch. Yeah. Okay.
Justice was done in 1906, the way justice was done, and Dolphy was hanged in 1859. What happened was there was a gunfight, and then they don't really know what happened after that, but Rattlesnake Dick ended up with a bullet in his brain.
Oh.
And he either committed suicide, which was a common belief. He didn't want to be brought in. But the other part of it was, a couple of years earlier, a man was lynched in Auburn after a murder. It was obvious. Bracy was the case. He was brought into jail in Auburn, and what came out was that he had stuck a pickaxe in the guy's head, but he had survived long enough to pin the blame on Bracy. And so the people began, the person who died was well known, well liked, and people began to think, well, we're going to lynch this guy. And they did. They took him out of the jail, overpowered the law enforcement, and lynched him. So Rattlesnake Dick, wounded, doesn't want to be brought in. His thought process is also to the fact that he may not survive the night if they bring him in. So
Now, you've told us a lot about your book, but there's a bunch more, right? That's not all that there is.
that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like I have to keep a lot of things under under
so
wraps until next September when it publishes.
He's told a bunch to us, but there's more. That's just this much. There's a ton.
I've started my research in earnest 5 days ago.
Okay.
I know where to look.
Yes, yes,
And
you
the
do.
idea is I've scratched the surface. Some things are again just going to shock people in Auburn. And now I go deep into it.
Okay.
And there are places that I know where to go that other people won't.
No.
And with 2 books under my belt now, I'll be able to, I know I will find more things. So
Yes, you will.
fear of writing, I sit down every day and it's just, you know, it's a journey back in time. That's the way I say to my wife when I go into my area to write, I say, I'm time to time travel, basically. And that's what I do. And I'm hoping at the end of this particular book and when it publishes and goes on sale again, that other readers will have the same experience that I have and the same joy that I've had in writing the book as
Good.
well. Yeah.
Yes, good. Now, regarding toll fee, you've talked about it and you've walked about it. You've had people walking with you in Auburn. Do you do that often?
Actually, it's I'm walking with them, but what I've done is published a self-guided walking tour that people can pick up at a number of locations.
Where?
Well, I put some at the Placer County Museum at the courthouse.
Placer County Museum at the courthouse. Okay.
Others at the Welcome Center in Old Town, which has just opened up, and I'm a volunteer at.
Oh, good.
They're open 10 to 4 Saturday and Sunday right now. They're in the Old Town Post Office, which is another story.
Yeah.
And Winston Smith Books and the Placer County Tourist Bureau Welcome Center has them. Have the walking tours as well as copies of Dolphy.
Great. So if people want to learn about where Dolphy was and did and what he did and why,
it's called the Weber Murder Mile.
The Weber Murder Mile.
That's the self-guided walking tour title, and it's a very short walking tour, as much or as little as you want. It'll take you to the different places, including the place where he robbed the Placer County Bank, armed robbery.
Oh my!
Yeah. That's just one of the things. He was also accused by the district attorney of murdering a businessman in Old Town when he was 14.
So he started early.
Basically cut off his head.
Good Lord. Good heavens. And Auburn,
folks.
He's laughing. He thinks this is fun. It's fun to write about, I guess.
Well, throughout the whole process, if you're getting into the process, it's true crime. It's one of the most bizarre true crime stories in Northern California history. But through it all, I always kept in the uppermost of my mind empathy, because I've always tried to have that as a reporter. Because you have to understand what you're doing here. You're responsible. You're a person who can transmit the horror of an event, but you also have to have empathy for the victims. On November 10th at 6:30 p.m., this past November 10th, it was the anniversary of and the actual time when the murders would have taken place. I was at Brewery Lane. They have a little monument there. I got candles and pictures of the victims, lit those candles, and had a small, very private ceremony for the victims, the 4 victims.
Yeah, good. Good. Yes. This is fascinating. This is fascinating. And the message I've gotten from you is that writing is easy for you.
It has always been easy, yes. But learning how to write and how to report was a different type of thing. It was an ongoing process to learn how to write on deadline, learn AP style, all those little things. Have the editors tell me, hey, wait a minute, you wrote camaraderie, but the word is camaraderie.
Oh.
Things like that. You just learn those little things.
Okay.
Penultimate. What does penultimate mean? Those things just stay with you.
Okay.
And the writing for a newspaper is a bit different than writing for a book, because
Yes, that's true.
dealing with a different audience. They used to say, write for a 12-year-old, and when I was writing, and then the other thing was your short, punchy sentences.
Yeah. And short.
Because people would only read the first 7, 3 paragraphs or whatever, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So that was the big goal for me. Read things that people want to, write things that people want to read.
Okay.
And not just, and that's my hope always. You can buy the book, but if you don't read it, that's not the goal here. The goal is to actually read the book all the way through, pepper it with interesting things, and keep people going.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, Gus. This has been a pleasure. My guest is Gus Tomson, and I thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, and thank you for watching.